Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ed Wilson, and I am sending this message out from Geneva, Switzerland. Now, some of you might have received this from some of my family or my friends that are sharing this. So that's just so you know a little background. I'm in the middle of a pilgrimage. Uh, could be just the beginning, could be towards the end. I don't know. It's in God's hands. But a pilgrimage where I wanted to go and see some holy sites and to talk about the faith. Now, the reason for that is the lack of knowledge about the Catholic faith. And of course, that's just talking about Catholics. A lot of them don't know the faith they were blessed to be born into and baptized into. And we've become a very secular world. So, this is my way of following the commandment that Jesus gave us to go and share the gospel, share the faith. And a good way of doing it is just, spread it on the internet. Hopefully somebody will see that and understand it and come back to the faith, or maybe for the first time, become a Christian. And but also for non-Catholics, if some people watching this are non-Catholics, maybe at least you'll learn why we do the things we do and believe the things we do. I was in seminary for 2 years. I had to step out due to academic issues, but I do hope to go back. And but in the meantime, what I wanted to do was talk about the different sites, holy sites, and the reason we have these apparitions from a Holy Mother, or maybe go to places where holy saints are buried and talk about them and what they had to do, what they had to go through at their particular time for the salvation of souls. Since I was not a seminarian any longer, I decided that I would do this as a Catholic man. Now, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a philosopher, as some could attest, but I have learned some things. I do have some knowledge about my faith, maybe the basics, if you will, but I think it'll be a help to many to understand. And hopefully it touches your heart and moves something in you to look into it at least uh, for the salvation of your souls. Now, the first thing I would have to tell you, because I will talk about, again, the lack of faith and sin, and is that it's not coming from some holy man or some perfect guy or whatever. I am a sinner. I have committed mortal sins in my life. And luckily, God has given me the strength to change, and that's why I hope to again serve Him as a priest in His church. But I don't want people to think that somehow I'm talking down to anybody, or thinking that I'm somehow better than them, because I'm not. But as I do these videos in different places, I really hope that what it does is shine a light on what our church is here for. Jesus Christ established His church for the salvation of souls, and it is up to us to continue that. Right now, we live in a very secular world, so a lot of people follow what the world says. Now, part of that problem is, and if you think about it, the reason most people that don't believe in God, the reason for it is nobody's ever taught them. Again, it's not to judge and condemn or whatever, but to make you aware of it and hopefully start thinking about it and hopefully live the life that through the sacraments and the teachings of the church, if people would follow it, they would be actually very happy. Not the superficial happiness of material world or what have you, but actually inside a very happy people. So that's what I'm hoping to teach and to show. And for me, it would be, I guess a way to explain it is, when I stand before God, I don't want Him to say, look, these people, you had your faith, you had your knowledge, you didn't share it, so look at these souls now where you could have helped. Now, God is loving and forgiving, but, we have to ask for forgiveness. We have to love Him back. It's like if you had somebody that you love dearly, you love so much, but, they ignore you, they don't want anything to do with you, they mistreat you, they reject you, they use you, they come to you when they need something, but other than that, whatever. you would want them to apologize to you and to come back into your life and show love to you too. So it's the same way with the living God. But lucky for us, God is more forgiving than your average human being, and He wants us to come back, no matter what we've done in our past, no matter how long we've been away from Him. He wants you to come back. And if you're a person that's never known Christ and the faith, maybe this will hopefully at least start making you think about it. And if ever you want to know or want help, just go into your heart and ask God to help you. He's listening. He's waiting. He's waiting for you. He's not going to force himself upon you. He gave us free will. Because if He did force Himself, then it wouldn't be love. Well, the relationship we have with Him would not be love. It'd just be, it's like if you created a robot that you programmed to say, I love you, and you're awesome, and you're my great creator, and I thank you, and because we programmed to say that and to know that, then that's not love. That's just you creating that. So it's God's way of creating a true relationship and a true love between God and man. So as I go from place to place, I will, actually, I'm not even sure exactly what I'll talk about each time. But I ask God to, use His words, not mine. I'm just a mere mortal who has trouble remembering things, and and so I ask Him to go through, and that's what God does. So if it's good, it came from God. If it's messed up, it's me. Sorry. So just remember that as we do this. Well, my original plan about a year ago was to go to Fatima and start there. It kind of took a while to actually get going. You know, it's in God's time that we do this, and when I discuss these places, again, I'm not going to be the perfect expert, but just my way of sharing with you. I had a friend priest who said, "We're going to go to Fatima and talk about Fatima." I mean, like Bishop Barron, he just did his whole presentation on Fatima, and so what are you going to cover more than he would be able to? And well, that's fair. It's true. He's a bishop, very knowledgeable. But what I've thought about is, a lot of my family and friends don't know who Bishop Barron is, or may not think about looking into these places until somebody that loves them is wanting to share these places and these amazing sites. Now, I know that not all my Christian brothers and sisters really believe in this, outside the Catholic Church. Like I had a friend of mine who, when I told him that I was going to Colombia to see Our Lady of Las Lajas, he said, "Well, I don't remember seeing that in the Bible," which is part of the problem that many of our Christian brothers and sisters don't believe that these things are real, or because many are taught that the miracle stopped when Jesus basically rose back to heaven. Well, no. Throughout the Old Testament, God gave us a lot of miracles, and that hasn't stopped because the need for them has not stopped. And part of the difference, of course, with many of our Protestant brothers and sisters is just about the Bible. Now, one of the things you have to remember is that while they teach it, it's all that you need to know comes from the Bible. Jesus Christ in the Bible said that it's the church. The church He established. The church that He wanted, one church, and that's it. So that's part of the thing that I wanted to share with a lot of people. Half my family is on the Baptist side. My dad was Baptist. For many of you that may not know, I share that my dad did pass away August 1st. I know that I didn't put that on Facebook like a lot of people do, but I guess it's just our way. Of course, family and friends, close people knew, but in case you knew my dad, and yeah, he passed away August 1st. Um, and but like I was saying, he was raised Baptist. That side of the family is mostly Baptist, um, except for one cousin and his wife and family who became Catholic. But so part of this is not to rub anybody the wrong way or what have you, but just understand why we do the things we do. You've been taught one thing within your church, but really, if you want to understand the Catholic Church, you need to understand it from the Catholic view. Um, so as I go into these places, and like I mentioned, Las Lajas, I had a chance to go to Colombia, and took advantage and took a short flight from Bogota to the southern part of Colombia to a town called Pasto.
Arriving in Pasto, southern part of Colombia.
From there, I took a cab uh, and went to the bus station. That was like a 40-minute drive. Airport's kind of far away. And it's beautiful terrain. So it's very mountainous, but apparently that just doesn't slow anybody down there. It's kind of crazy driving, but keeps you on your toes. So once I got to the actual town of Pasto, I took a little bus, down to a town called Ipiales, and from there I went down and stayed close to the shrine of the Lady of Las Lajas. There was there in 1754, our Holy Mother appeared to a woman called Maria Mueces de Quiñones, who was a descendant of the chieftains of the town of Potosi in Colombia. A little history of that area at that time: there were actually a lot of violent deaths specifically on a small bridge over the river Guaitara. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I keep practicing it, but anyway, Guaitara. It's the bottom of a gorge, which, by the way, that whole area is a very beautiful area. So even if you're not Catholic, it's pretty incredible just to go see that area. That area is where the three spines of mountain ranges go up into Colombia. I learned about this place, Our Lady of Las Lajas, when I was in seminary, and I was very intrigued. Um, I didn't live in Colombia, and I wasn't really looking into different shrines and Marian sites, as they're called. But when I saw that and I saw the pictures, I'd love to go there. And I really got a chance to go, so I went. Um, Now, once we got into town, walked to my hotel, and one of the things you realize right away, because the shrine is in the middle of a gorge, that everywhere you go, you're going to walk up or walk down. Everywhere you go, if you go downhill, you got to remember you got to walk back uphill too. One of the miracles that happened there while I was there is that I didn't die of a heart attack. So I'm not in the best shape anymore. So that kind of was a bit of an awakening, but I got through it by the grace of God. One of the things that it's a place where the Franciscans used to have a monastery, but unfortunately it's empty now, which is one of the sad parts about our faith, that so much of the places are dwindling. But we'll get into that more later. So I was going through the town, and as walking down the road to go to the shrine, there were plaques, hundreds and hundreds of plaques for the last, probably since the 1950s or even before that, when they really built the last shrine. People would put plaques thanking God for whatever miracle happened to them, whatever help they were getting. What it does is it brings people to come and ask for help, and it brings them closer to God. Which is really what it's all about. But God gives us these gifts for us to see, for us to be able to touch. Even though you can't touch this rock anymore, it's all behind glass. But to be in front of it and venerate it and understand that our Holy Mother was there, that this place was touched by heaven, because she walked there, as did baby Jesus. And you'd be like, what? So here's a kind of a story. As I was saying, I was giving a little history of the background. There were a lot of deaths on this bridge. People were found dead, or sometimes they just went missing. Sometimes their bodies were floating down the river. Sometimes they were never found again. So when Maria Mueces de Quiñones was traveling between her town of Potosí and Ipiales, there was a big storm. So after crossing the bridge and going up the hill, and the big storm hit, she took cover in a little cave or like a natural grotto to get protection. Now, because she was frightened of all the again demonic things happening there, the she prayed the to Our Lady of the Rosary. She prayed to Our Holy Mother for protection. And when she was praying, she felt somebody touch her back and say something to her. Now, when she turned around, there was nobody there. So she got pretty frightened and just took off into the storm. Didn't care. I got to go. I'm not staying here. And she went to town and shared her story. But of course, as it normally happens, people don't believe that. So the next time Maria was going through that area, she was carrying her daughter, her 6-year-old daughter named Rosa, who was a deaf mute. As she was getting tired, she decided to stop close to the same area and take a rest. So when her daughter came down, she started climbing the rocks and playing around while she rested. And all of a sudden, her daughter said, "Mom, look, there's a woman here holding a baby in her arms." Now, when Maria turned around, she didn't see anything. So she grabbed Rosa and decided to keep going. Now, of course, Maria was stunned because she had never heard her daughter speak before. So one day, Maria noticed that Rosa had disappeared. And she remembered that her daughter would tell her that Our Lady is calling me. So she went looking for Rosa in the same place at the grotto where these other miracles had happened. And when she got there, what she saw was Our Holy Mother standing with Rosa and baby Jesus at her feet playing. So she finally got to see this beautiful miracle, and she fell to her knees in disbelief. Now, they kept this to themselves for a while, but they would return every now and then and leave flowers or light candles and pray and for help or as we normally do to venerate Our Holy Mother and ask for intercession. I'll explain that biblically later. And while they still kept that to themselves, it was just something they would do. Sometime later, after these visions and these visitations, Rosa fell ill and then she died. Now, of course, in her grief, her mother wanted to ask for help, for intercession from Our Lady to our Lord to please bring her back to life. So she carried her daughter back to the same place and prayed and asked our mother to intercede. And she asked and begged and prayed. And seeing the grief, Our Holy Mother asked our Lord, and Rosa was brought back to life. This, of course, really was done so people would now believe that our mother appeared and that something miraculous was happening here. Because obviously the town knew that Rosa had died, but now they saw her alive again. So when word spread, they came together and made a pilgrimage and went as a village to the holy site where this miracle had happened. And when they arrived there, the stone that you see now at Our Lady, at the shrine of Our Lady of Las Lajas, with the image of Our Holy Mother holding baby Jesus, and at the foot of Our Mother is Saint Dominic, who is receiving a Holy Rosary. Now, this is something Our Holy Mother gave him back in the 1200s. And on the other side was Saint Francis, who is receiving a cord with 3 knots from Jesus. And these 3 knots for the Franciscans mean the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The crowns were added later as a devotion to the King and Queen of heaven and earth. When people saw this, they truly believed. Now, there's of course always doubters, and some people say, "Oh, it was painted on," or the image looked very much like a type of drawing that a Dominican friar had done in that area, and so they, some people say, "Oh, it was him. It was just something he came out there." But of course, you have to wonder. These miraculous things happened. Just a bit of time went by from the time that Rosa died and the pilgrimage came. Because remember that stone did not have the image when Maria was there. where would this Dominican friar come from and bring paint and draw this perfect image, this beautiful image? It's not possible. So, no. And of course, people, when they take a close look at it, you could see that it was perfect. It's all stone, but it's perfect, like it was painted, but it's not. So, this was not done by the hand of man, it was done from heaven. It's a gift for us. So, once the word got out, people did come, venerate, and a lot of miracles were happening. The first one was shortly after a Franciscan uh, friar who was blind would go from Ecuador into different towns along Ecuador, the border, and into Colombia to collect money to build a shrine. So this was one of the first miracles, because after he collected enough money to build a shrine, he regained his vision. So that's the first historic record of some of these miracles. Um, Other than, of course, Rosa coming back to life. So whether a relic is something that comes from a saint or something put here on earth by Almighty God, it is something that even in the Old Testament, it's in Kings 2, when the unknown man fell on Elisha, he was touched by something that was holy and given back life. So these miracles, why do they happen? It reminds me of Moses when he was praying to God, because he was talking about these stiff-necked people that, you do so much for them, you show them amazing miracles, you help them out, you save their lives, and it's still just not good enough. That hasn't changed. We're human beings, are still the same. So these things are done for us to save our souls, for us to change. But right now, in the state of the world, it's very secular because of everybody turning away, listening to the world, and wanting worldly things, and ignoring the gifts from God. So those gifts are still there for those who want to seek them and want help. Of course, many non-believers want scientific proof. Now, with Our Lady of Las Lajas, with that stone, it was described the way it was described, in the way that they could tell it's stone. It's not paint, because it doesn't chip. It doesn't fade. It's 269 years old, and it hasn't changed. I was told by a guide that people used to scrape off part of the rock, and then the rock would come back. Somebody said that there was they bore out a hole 3 feet into the rock that showed that the colors go all the way into the rock. So that is not man-made. That's a miracle. Of course, they say, well, it's a German scientist that did that, but there's no written information. There's no, the part of the rock they bore out, it's missing. So, I do wish, of course, sometimes evil does that. It'll try to take away things so the proof can't be there, knowing that it's something that's godly and wants to help save souls. So you have to keep that in mind too, that the devil's not stupid, but he does things to try to ruin these miracles. So a lot of it is faith, but you have to see the witnesses that have said, and what people have been helped, and it's something that it's really worth. Well, not everybody can go, I guess, but if you can, go see these beautiful places, and they're all over the world. Now, I'm not going to go all over the world. I'd like to, but whatever. It probably won't be possible. But, there's a place in Wisconsin, in North America. It's the only Marian site that's been recognized by the church. But there's places in Asia, and Africa, and Europe, South America, and everywhere, in every part of the world, except Antarctica, I guess. But there's a reason for that. And that's what I want to share. These reasons, these things appear, that they're real, and that hopefully it softens your heart a little bit and starts making you think about God and the things He does for us, and that He's there always waiting for you. So I would like to thank everybody that has helped me get this far. It has been through the support of my family, my siblings, my aunt, my cousins, my friends that have donated some money to kind of help me keep going, friends from my church, So I really, really do want to thank you so much. And a big thank you also for my doctor, Dr. Jacob, and her husband, who bought my tickets to get to Europe. They've allowed me to get so far, and of course, for a while I questioned if there's something I was supposed to do, but when this all came together, even though it was planned and thought about for a while, it was kind of a sudden, within 3 weeks from the time I decided to go to the time I got to Europe, that it's kind of helps answer the question, some doubts that I have sometimes of, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? So, and I know what some of you are thinking, oh, here it comes. Yeah. If you think I should continue, I would need financial help to keep going. So if it's something you think is important, or you liked, or you'd like to hear more about, or see the places I'll be going, and my thoughts on the faith and the state of the world, and I'll get into a lot more things that I wanted to discuss in the first video, but it would just take too long. After I finished in Colombia, I got to go to Mexico City to see Our Lady of Guadalupe in that beautiful story. And from there, finally, after a few more months, I got to head out to Fatima with a small detour to Casablanca, which I'll explain later. But 4 days in Fatima, which were amazing. And then I got to go to see the Apostle St. James the Greater in Santiago de Compostela, in the autonomous region of northwest Spain. Now from there, where do I get to go? I have no idea. How far will I go? It's in God's hands. But I ask you to please pray for me and ask God to guide me. And I pray for you and your families, and may God protect them and bless them. Have a great day. And join me next time. Thank you.